Western Sahara Desert. Here in the wilderness of sand dunes and mountains, a war is being fought. A war which, unlike Afghanistan or Lebanon, rarely makes news. This Saharan conflict flared up almost 7 years ago, in 1975. It's a war which has cost thousands of lives and millions of dollars in lost military equipment. This conflict, like the sand, is always on the move. The Western Sahara is a former Spanish colony which was partitioned by Mauritania and Morocco when the Spaniards withdrew in 1976. By 1978, Mauritania had pulled out of the conflict, but Morocco remained. Almost half the Moroccan army is now engaged in the defense of this area, but it's neither strong enough nor well enough trained to patrol this vast emptiness in sufficient numbers. It's estimated that this conflict is costing Morocco some $6 million a day, a sum it cannot afford on its own. So financial help comes from Saudi Arabia and military aid from the United States. These are the people the Moroccan army is fighting. The nomads of the Sahrawi tribes and their fighting force, the Polisario. Almost half the Sahrawi people have taken to Polisario desert camps near Tindouf in southwest Algeria. The rest have fled to two main towns, initially under Moroccan control, El Ayoun and Dakhla. And as a result, traditional nomadism has been greatly reduced. Life for those who have decided to go with Polisario is not an easy one. But they have a purpose. They believe themselves to be a nation and are willing to fight and die for their cause. The Sahrawi Arab Democratic Republic gave birth to itself in 1976. It's carried on its struggle for recognition for almost 6 years now, with Algerian backing and Libyan help. Polisario started fighting for self-determination, but now it will settle for nothing short of independence. Already recognized by 50 countries, the Sahrawi people may be on the threshold of nationhood. But Morocco has a different view of the territory's future. Most Moroccans see the Western Sahara as an integral part of their country. To them, this is an irreversible historical fact. Morocco's stand is personified by King Hassan. But there is also evidence that some parts of the territory actively want Morocco. When in March 1980 the king visited Dakhla, the second largest town in the region, his visit went off without problems. This was his first trip there since Morocco took over. To the king, these are his loyal subjects, so he's rejected a call by the Organization of African Unity that they should be allowed a referendum on independence. As he sees it, a referendum can only be held in a sovereign state, not a province. The most he's prepared to do is let the Saharans vote on whether they want autonomy within Morocco. And he said that that vote may happen sometime this year.
L'autodétermination est un acte juridique qui ne prouve pas forcément.
The king accepted the idea of a vote at a time when Moroccan troops were in control of the region's main strategic positions. But in October 1981, the situation changed. At Gueltas and Mour, in a surprise attack and using heavy military equipment, Polisario defeated a 2,000-strong Moroccan garrison. Morocco claims Polisario fielded a dozen Soviet-built T-45 tanks, some 50 armored personnel carriers, and some SAM-6 missiles. With these missiles, it's alleged, Polisario shot down one Moroccan transport plane and 3 fighters. Morocco also claims Polisario's attack was launched from a base inside Mauritania, only 25 miles away. Following their defeat, the Moroccans withdrew behind a 300-mile-long defensive wall built to stop deeper raids. 4/5 of the region are now under Polisario control. But the reasons for the fighting are not just political. Where Morocco, Algeria, and Mauritania meet, there are vast natural resources. Phosphate mines totaling 1.5 billion tons are a strong economic incentive to winning the war. But production is impossible at present. Polisario blew up the Spanish-built conveyor belts early on in the conflict. Yet despite the war, construction of the port of Tafeira, 60 miles away from El Ayoun, continues. When it is completed, it will be one of Morocco's largest, capable of taking ships up to 200,000 tons. Tafeira may in fact provide an outlet for the phosphate when it is mined again. But projects like this one will depend on the willingness of foreign capital investment. Nomads do not eat fish, and the Sahrawis have never exploited the fishing banks along the coast. A large Dutch project to develop the fishing industry in and around the El Ayoun harbor collapsed recently because of Polisario threats and pressure from the Dutch government. Yet despite Hassan's precarious hold on the region, the Western Sahara is integrated into Morocco's administrative provincial structure. Much of the economic boom which has come to a halt in Morocco seems to have been relocated here. New clinics, houses, mosques, and schools are being built, and in many cases, these services are being provided free. Another area for government action has been irrigation. Back in the mid-60s, Morocco dreamed of becoming the granary of Europe and concentrated on irrigation projects. At one point, Morocco spent 1/6 of its budget on water developments. Despite the investment, nature still plays a crucial role. In autumn, seasonal rains usually green the fertile plains stretching the length of the country. But this year's severe drought has prevented farmers from sowing the normal acreages of wheat and barley. Already last year, a lesser drought forced Morocco to import 3 million tons of cereals. Such expenditure increases balance of payments problems. 1/3 of all export earnings are already used to meet interest payments on a large foreign debt. And Morocco's balance of payments deficit currently stands at $2 billion. Last year, Morocco lost half its major grain crop, and agricultural production dropped by more than 1/4. A second crop failure would be catastrophic, not just for the farmers, but for the country as a whole. Another effect of the drought has been to decimate livestock herds, which provide most of the country's meat. And because the herds have nothing to graze on but sand, slaughtering is above normal rates, compromising future production. Prices have soared, causing great hardship. The situation in the countryside is so bleak that many are emigrating to the towns. In Western Saharan towns, such as this one, these problems are greatly reduced because of Moroccan investment. But in places such as Rabat, the capital, the flow of people can be as high as 1,000 a day. In Morocco, unemployment is rising rapidly. Bad housing, inflation at 25%, and high prices contribute to an explosive situation. Although there have been problems, Moroccans are generally better off than they were 5 years ago. But poverty is still widespread. A recent World Bank study estimates that just under half of Morocco's 21 million people live on less than $250 a year. And many Moroccans have emigrated to countries such as France to find work. Moroccan workers in France demonstrate against their government. There is little doubt that such vocal demonstration could not take place in Morocco. This demonstration was in protest of government repression following food riots in Casablanca during the last days of June 1981. The news from Morocco had been bad. Rioters had attacked symbols of wealth such as banks and tax collection centers. Troops had cracked down and official figures put the death toll at 67. But French observers say it may have been as high as 600. As a result, there is now a deep rift between the king and his main open political opposition. The Western Saharan question is still far from resolved, but there are definite signs that the situation is changing. Algerian support for Polisario has been waning because of renewed talks between Algiers and Rabat. Recent military supplies for Polisario have been coming not from Algeria, but Libya. Against this backdrop, the United States has recently taken a renewed interest in Morocco's success in its war against Polisario. Plans for the autonomy vote are still too confused, and no formula has yet been agreed on.
À mon avis, partir du moment où on est sûr que
what worries King Hassan is the practical difficulty in organizing a vote among those Saharans grouped over the Algerian border in Tindouf.
La liberté de vote
He's also concerned that the vote may be distorted by thousands of Polisario supporters returning from camps in Mauritania.
Au contraire,
in view of the circumstances, both sides are reluctant to accept that the supervision bodies of the United Nations, the OAU, could guarantee a fair and free vote. So far, no formula has yet been agreed to by either side.
Le principal, c'est que il y ait vraiment l'identité parfaite et qu'il n'y ait pas d'erreur sur la personne.
In February 1982, Polisario will celebrate the 5th anniversary of their declaration of a republic in the Western Sahara. They have survived another year and scored some notable military successes. What remains to be seen is how they will fare during 1982 if the United States steps up its military aid to Morocco, and whether this will rob them of their nationhood, so near yet so far.